Parsha Lech Lecha, Rabbi, introduces us to this incredible tzaddik called Avrohom. You sort of get a brief introduction at the end of Noach, but essentially this is our first introduction to this amazing person, sort of the father of Klal Yisrael, the first of our avos, somebody who will have a chance over the next few weeks maybe to sort of focus in on his life and on his chesed and what sort of made him tick as a incredible giant of a person, to be the Avamon Goyim, sort of the father of almost all humanity in a certain sense. How everybody looks back to Avrohom as being this incredible leader of the world. But again, even though certainly there's a lot to be said for the big picture aspects of Avrohom life, we have some episodes, and again, it's always important that I sort of maybe refocusing on this concept, but life is a conglomeration of events, of little snippets of life. And we have one of the most dramatic moments that you can ever imagine for a young man, or maybe not so young, but an individual called Lot. And the relationship between Lot and Avrohom is extremely fascinating. And it really forces us to sort of, look at Chazal. It's incredible when you look at Chazal and you see how they illustrate these moments in time and what they say. And it's so instructive about so many things that we do in life. Because our job, the reason why we look into Chazal, the reason why we look and analyze a Rashi or a Sephorna or any of the other incredible commentaries throughout the Torah is because when you look into them, you analyze the way they describe these moments in time. It has incredible ramifications for us, profound messages, but we have to take them, we have to think about them, we have to internalize them. So if you look at the episode where you all learned about this, you all know the shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Avrohom, and they're all sort of like not getting along. And Lot's shepherds are grazing in other areas where they don't belong. And then Avrohom says, this is not working. There is a rift. There is a problem between the shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Avrohom. And what happens? Avram looks like he's saying something very logical and very innocent. We're all brothers. We like to get along. So we're not getting along. You have one attitude about this incredible land called Eretz Yisrael. You think that right now it's free reign. And I don't think it's free reign yet. I don't think it belongs to us yet. And therefore our shepherds should not be grazing in other people's areas. And you do. So we've got this different philosophical perspective. I sort of get it. He says, hello, Lot, take a pick. Take your pick. You got anything, any area you want to go. Okay, he parid no my lie. But looks like we got to separate. He parid no my lie. We got to separate because we're not getting along. Right? I have one attitude, you have another. Right? You want to do one thing, you want to shmooze when you're not supposed to, and I don't want to shmooze when I'm not supposed to. It's a very simple situation. Okay, we have different philosophies in life, different perspectives. So let's separate. Isn't that the right way to do it? Let's just go our merry way. And if you want to go right, I'll go left. You go left, I'll go right. I'm very accommodating. So Avrohom said words, and we'll look at his words momentarily. But right now, let's focus on Lot for a second. Vayisa Lot es einav vayarsa kol hakika yarden. Oh, you're asking me to go? Let me take a look. Let me look what my opportunities are. I looked around, and he saw some nice land. Kikula Mashke. He saw a certain valley there that looked very, very opportunistic for development of land and cattle, and I can become maybe a rich guy there. This is before Hashem destroyed Sodom. Vayivchalo Lot es kol kika hayarden. They decided, you know what, that place looks, this is maybe the original, now Baruch Hashem, there's a lot going on in Las Vegas that's wonderful and Torah oriented. A lot of growth, a lot of people moving in. But I guess maybe 75 years ago when I'm not sure, was it Bugsy Siegel who actually looked at Vegas for the very first time and said, hey, we can make a nice city here, city of decadence, a city of materialism. We can have the big casinos. Boy, this could be a major operation. I can really line my pockets with millions, if not billions. Vayisa lot mikedem, vayipardu ish me'alochiv. And Lot decides, okay? He goes, Vayisa lot mikedem. He goes away from Kedem. Kedem normally is the east. Okay? Vayipardu ish me'alochiv, and they separated, one man separated from the other. How fascinating. Okay, if you look at these psukim, you don't read them Mefarshim, you don't look at Rashi, you say it's a nice little story. Okay, they didn't get along, they parted ways, and unfortunately we know later on that Avraham got to go and save Lot because he had a big war that broke out. What you would never imagine is what Rashi says about Lot's decision. And that's why Rabbi said when we make decisions, when we think about life, when we think about direction, we think about opportunities, we think about what we're going to do, it is so important to really take this Rashi to heart and analyze what is it that I'm really saying. Vayisilot mikedem, they look like innocent words, says Rashi. He left Avram Avinu, he went to the west of Avram Avinu, he went from the east to the west, obviously. Umedrash Haggadah, he brings a medrash. Hisiya atzmo mikadmono shel olam. In traveling away from Avram Avinu, in that from east to west journey that he took, Rabbi said that was not just a physical trip. It was not a simple statement saying, you know what, I hear what you're saying, we can't get along, let's just part our separate ways. He said, and he left Mikadmon Shalom, the one who is the first on this world. He left HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He made a simple move in a certain direction. He took a little trip. And in that trip, he was leaving God. Leaving God? Lot's a good guy. What do you mean he's leaving God? What do you mean? What did Rashi mean? Vayisa. Hisiya atzmo mikadmono shel olam. Omar, he said words. Where did he say these words, Rabbi? I challenge you. What is Rashi talking about? You looked at this Rashi since, for sure, 5-6 years already. Omar Yev Shiloi be'Avram v'loi be'Lakov. I'm not interested in Avram. I'm not interested in his God. I'm leaving. I'm leaving? I'm removing myself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm making a trip. I'm taking the yarmulke off. I'm putting it not in my pocket. I'm leaving it in the room. It's gone. That's not part of my suitcase. It's not part of it. My tefillin are gone. Everything's gone. I'm leaving town. I'm taking nothing Jewish, religious with me. Where? How? Where do you see this? It was Avram who started the conversation. Avram was the one who initiated the talk. And now you're accusing Lot of being a person who says, E-F-She? And interesting, we have almost the same type of story with Hagar, where Hagar is told by the Malach, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And the Mepharshim say a very similar thing. How in the world do you leave? Amy Zabosa. Okay, finally he says, you have to go back. He says, where are you going? To Hagar, where are you going? You left Avram, you left Sarah, where are you going? And Rabbi saying the incredible messages, when you have a home like Avram Avinu's home, when you have the spiritual opportunities of being near Avram Avinu, and you walk away from that, when you are in a place where you have the potential to grow, when you're in a place where you have the ability to sort of see how high you can reach, when you have people around you who are going to inspire you and connect to you and care about you, and you say, I want no part of that. You didn't really say those words, but how do you walk away? How do you walk away from the home of Rabbi Avinu? When you do, Rabbi Say, when I've heard over the years, and I call it that speech from Gehenna, where the person says, Rabbi, you trained me well, you taught me well, 12 years, now I can move on and get on with the rest of my life. Okay, 8 years of elementary school, 4 years of high school, and now it's time to sort of get on to the real world. So the Svarim, I'll get back to another time. It's filling, I'll get back to another time. But it's okay right now is my practical part of the world, where I deal with bottom line. I got to develop. I got to develop real estate. I got to develop my portfolio. I got no time for spirituality right now. What are you saying with that statement? What are you saying with that decision that you were deciding to go? Turn your back on everything that's good, everything that's positive. Make a decision to leave Avrohom. Make a decision to leave your Jewish community. Make a decision that I don't need my Torah environment. I don't need my minion around. I don't need my shurim around. I don't need some rabbi who's going to connect to me and invite me over for Shabbos. It's okay. I remember the time, it was a young lady. It's amazing, Baruch Hashem. She recognized her mistake. I remember when she was a senior, and I said, so what are you doing next year? Of course, we encourage our girls to go to seminary. This is going back now about over 25 years ago. This is a fairly long time ago. To me, it seems like yesterday, but 25 years is a long time when it precedes your life by a decade. And I'll never forget, where are you going? I'm going to UNLV. UNLV? I mean, I understand the running Rebels have a fairly decent basketball team, at least in those days they did. But, I mean, you're not going for basketball. So what are you doing going to UNLV? Rabbi, they have the #1 hotel management program in the country. So I want to be a hotel manager. And if I can graduate with honors from UNLV, I got it made in the shade. Well, you might have it made in the shade. But that's it's a decision that will put you in what kind of shade. What kind of shade do you want to be in? You go to UNLV when there is no Torah and there is no spirituality, there is no opportunity. Again, nowadays, Baruch Hashem, there are people in, like I told you, in Henderson and Summerlin, Baruch Hashem, Torah is growing. But this is where you go? You go to a place devoid of spiritual connection. You know what you're saying? I'm not saying anything. No, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is I'm just going to UNLV. No. I'm not saying that. What you're saying is what Rashi tells you you're saying. What Lod said when he decided to walk away, he's saying, even though he never articulated it, I'm not even sure he thought it. This is a subconscious reality of what you're saying when you walk away from Torah, when you walk away from the opportunity to be close to Avram Avinu, when you put yourself in a situation where you cannot duplicate in any shape, manner, or form the opportunity to reach higher levels, to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're walking away from that, what you are saying, Rabbi Isai, are these incredible words of Rashi. I don't want any part of it. He didn't mean to say it, but that's what you're saying. These are, Rabbi said, these are such profound messages of the importance of how we look at life. The reason why we promote Eretz Yisrael to such a great degree, why we say that if you don't continue your learning in Eretz Yisrael for a year, it doesn't have to be Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael happens to be an amazing place to learn Torah when you graduate. But the idea that you're sort of disconnecting from this world and you're running off to some college without a thought, without an attitude, without a focus of, well, what about my spiritual reality? What about my breathing? What about my ability for my neshama to grow? You can get a degree and not give it up. You can go to places where you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever you want to do. You want to trade in billions in hedge funds, or whatever you want to do in life. There are ways of doing it as we have seen the last 25 years. That's kosher. That gives you the spiritual opportunity to still continue to grow. You stay connected to people. So I said, let's say you went to the #3 program in the country. Is there a hotel management program in USC or UCLA? You got to run to UNLV. Here you have Baruch Hashem. You have a firm community, and it's a question of does Stern have such a program? Does this one? Look at where you can stay connected. We had people in Northwestern. We had graduates in Northwestern. They lived in a rabbi's house. They had shurim constantly around them. They stayed connected to a Jewish community. Oh, I'm going to one of the top schools in the country, Northwestern. It's a little like an Ivy League school. Does that mean you're walking away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? No. Because you're thinking. You're planning. You're recognizing what it is where I'm going and what I'm saying. Whether you mean to say it or not. So it is so important as we Not just for seniors. Certainly for seniors it's very, very important, but really for everybody, sort of map out a direction of life. If this is where we're thinking Chas V'Sholom right now, there's a mentality of, let me practical. You want to be practical? What's more practical than eternity, Rabbi say? What's more practical about being a human being, being a Jew who can be a great father, to be a great husband, who will be successful in life when you speak to the biggest hotshots in the world? What will they tell you? When you read their lives, their stories, when you hear what their messages are. The greatest CEOs, the greatest CFOs, whatever, they're making millions and billions and all that. You know what they're telling you? You know what makes a difference? Their character, their empathy, their ability to listen, their ability to understand how to connect to people. Way more than their business acumen or the computer skills or the surgical skills or the ability to argue in front of a judge. You will find out when you speak to highly successful people, it boils down to character, midos, and for a Jew, Yireh Shamayim, an ability to connect to Torah. That's what really matters. That's true success. Not to mention the eternal world where that's ultimately the success. Because after 120 years, you can't take it with you, Rabbi say. After 120 years, the bank account is not going to matter. What's going to matter is which Jew is facing the Kisei HaKavod and the Bezin Shomayla. Who's in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and that heavenly tribunal that's going to be there determining thumbs up or thumbs down. It's not going to be your bank account. It's not going to be the PhDs. It's going to be what you did with your life. What kind of person were you? What kind of Jew are you? Your children, your wife, your community. What did you do? How did you impact people? Which is why Rabbi say it's unthinkable at the same time when we say this and the profound message of making sure you make the right decisions. And when you make a move, when you go on a road trip, we're going on a Shabbaton. We are not going on a Shabbaton to leave the comforts and the Torah environment of Valley Torah. We are doing it to uplift ourselves. We might be taking a trip, and we might be leaving this Beis Medrash, but we're taking the Beis Medrash with us. We're going to uplift. We're going to give Lake Histaic a spiritual boost that they haven't had probably since the lake was formed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu a long time ago. Because it depends where you're going and why you're going or why you're going there. Which is why attitude, even on a trip like this, some people, if you're going on a vacation with the mentality, whatever happens here stays here. I've heard that before. What is that saying? What happens here stays here. That means, don't worry about it. You can make grave errors. You can make terrible judgments in morality and ethics and in conduct and in loyalty. But it's okay. If it happens here in the next 3.5 days, it stays here. And no one's going to know. Right. No one except Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. No one else. This is the foolishness of what the world tries to tell us. What happens here stays here. No, it doesn't. Try telling that to anybody the last how many years where literally you can breathe the wrong way in China and already somebody in Georgia is already seeing it 4 seconds later. So incredibly, as much as the decisions matter, think about the flip side of Avrohom Avinu. If somebody is saying this, wouldn't that sort of tell us, you know what, if that's what you want to do, goodbye. If you want to walk away from God, if you want to run off to, by the way, she spent, I think, 1 semester, maybe 1 year, and she moved out of UNLV. She's a credible mother, has a beautiful family, she's doing great, and she decided UNLV is not the place for her, Baruch Hashem. Just happy ending to that story. But incredibly, on the other side, you'd say, okay, if this is what this person wants, go, Lot, get out of here. You want to run away from me, get out of here. In fact, the Rashi even mentions that as long as Lot was there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't speak to Avram Avinu. Because Lot's spiritual connection was much weaker. HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed Avram in a very high state. And he was not in a high state when Lot was around. And yet, what does the Medrash say about Avram Avinu? Amazing statements. Oh, Avram. I get it now. So everybody else you can make. The whole world, you have your house open open from all four sides. You're the Kirov master of all of human history. And Lot, you can't keep him close. You let Lot go. He's the one person you couldn't be Makarev. Incredible. Rabbi said, you see at the same time on the flip side, when you are that Jew, Rabbi said, you are that Jew. Make no mistake about it. You're the Avram Avinu. Because when you go back to your communities, they don't see you as the Lot walking away, chas v'shalom, just for carrot. You're the Avram Avinu. We got to make sure we don't become a Lot. But in your community, when you got that yarmulke on, when you're that Valley Torah student, when you're that Jew who represents, and you are, whether you like it or not. Baruch Hashem, that's why Memphis was so incredible, because they saw that we got feedback from the city of Memphis. You guys were amazing. The Valley Torah, it's I'm going to pause later. Thank you. No, let's hold off. But yes, it's like theoretical applause. Yes. So you guys were amazing. They said the Valley Torah boys stood out. I got a text from one of our graduates who hosted one of the meals. What they saw, that's not a small thing, Rabbi said. That means you're Avram Avinu. You're the one always setting the example, setting a tone, and let's see how Valley Torah boys behave. Let's see what they do. That's why this Shabbaton, because there are going to be some people up there who are going to be looking at us and sort of saying, let's see how this Jewish group behaves. So when you're in that position, the attitude of Avram Avinu needs to be, you might have a load in your house, and maybe Lot is ready to walk away from you and God, and maybe Lot is actually holding back your spiritual potential, but your attitude is, can't let him go. You got to go do everything you can to keep him close. And this is obviously decision everybody has to make on their level, what they're capable of doing. And I'm not saying that 15-year-old kids or 16-year-old kids should be out proselytizing or making people from. I'm not saying that. But in the place that you are, in the position that you have, you can do so much to make a Kiddush Hashem. For Avram Avinu, who he was, his obligation was, you can't go, Lot. I can't let you leave. No, you're not going. I'm sorry. I know you're ready to walk away from me. I know you're ready to say goodbye to God. I can't let you go. Because my job is to keep Klal Yisrael, to keep the world, before there was a Klal Yisrael even, close to God. I can't let you go. I say this because you're going to be getting a lot of PR, and there probably is some PR in the community all over America. The Shabbos Project is coming up, one more week away from the Shabbos Project. And a lot of people think, well, listen, I'm not going to be on a challah bake on Thursday night, which probably throughout the world, how many 100,000 of Jews are going to be involved in a challah bake, or 100,000 of women are involved in a challah bake over a Thursday night. Maybe I'm not the one to maybe decide who I'm going to be able to invite to my house for Shabbos, because it's really nice, but I'm not in charge of my household. That might be true, Rabbi said. But make no mistake, the Shabbos Project is a 354-day-a-year project. It's nice that Klal Yisrael devotes one Shabbos to it, but it's an everyday project. They call it the Shabbos Project because we need focus one Shabbos a year, but for us it's every day. It's every time we walk out on that street, every time our neighbor passes us, every time we pass a house. And how devastating is it, how crazy is it that we should think that knocking on a door and disappearing and doing some kind of shtick, which I'm learning the new teenage lingo, the ding-dong ditching scenario. But just think about it. How ridiculous is that? That's our job? To get a laugh and have people think, this is what Jewish kids do? This is who we are. We're the Am Kadosh. We're the Am HaNivchar. We're Avram Avinu. Our job is to not let any opportunity go by, even when a load is holding us back, and even when a load is saying, I'm not interested in Avram Avinu, I'm not interested in God, I want to walk away from here. Our whole view needs to be, what can I do to inspire this person? What can I do to bring him closer? What can I do to make a Kiddush Hashem? That's why Shabbaton is so wonderful, because in addition to all the camaraderie and all the fun and all the programs and all the games and all the singing and everything else that we actually enjoy, we have the ability to make an incredible Kiddush Hashem. Let's remember Lot, Rabbi Sai. Let's remember Avram Avinu. Let's remember that the decisions that we make and staying close to Torah, and staying close to the proper people, the proper role models. The obligation to be like Avrohom and never say, even to a lot, okay, goodbye. Have a nice life. Tell who we are, Rabbi say. Let's keep this in mind. Let's make a great Kiddush Hashem. Let's go Michayel.